Hello my friends, welcome to The Big Picture. It's wonderful to have you joining again or with us at the Living Ministry Media Studios for week 11 of our Sabbath School Bible Study Ministry Development Series. This week we move right into Daniel chapter 10 and look at a Bible study entitled From Battle to Victory. I'm Pastor Gary, mentor and chaplain to the Living Ministry Media team. In Daniel chapter 10 to 12, we have Daniel's last vision. This is the one vision that most prophecy seminars will quite happily avoid completely. In some ways, it's actually quite understandable. After all, this is one of the longest and most difficult visions in the entire Bible. As you study the 3 chapters of this vision, please be aware that while there are significant areas of agreement amongst Adventist interpreters, there are also issues that continue to challenge both ministers and theologians alike. You see, sometimes the text itself is not quite as clear as we would like. So, if you have the role of presenting the Bible study this week, where do you start? Can I suggest that you commence by looking at the big picture of this vision before you look at any of the individual chapters? You see, I'm so conscious that even many long-time Bible students don't have the necessary knowledge base or overall understanding of this vision to be able to discuss it intelligently. The vision is simply not as well known or understood as other visions in Daniel's book. As you do the sweep of the entire vision, please don't allow the historical details or the peripheral points to swamp the clear truths of what Daniel is presenting. So what is the big picture and the essential elements of this vision? In order to clarify the big picture, we need to know something about what the vision is saying. We need answers to questions like, what is the purpose of Daniel's vision in chapters 10, 11 and 12? What is the vision's starting point? Who are the main protagonists? Where does the vision conclude? As we ask these questions, please be careful about being dogmatic on matters that may not be as clear as we'd like. On the other hand, please don't ignore or dismiss this vision because, as we will see, this vision was given as a gift by God to those of us who live in the latter days. This is a vision that is highly relevant to our era. Let's come to those elements of the vision that I believe we can be confident of. Firstly, I believe we can have a clear understanding of the overall purpose of Daniel's last vision. As with any quality literature, this purpose is stated by Daniel very early in the record of his vision. You recall that the angel declares, "I've now come to make you understand what will happen to your people in the latter days." For the vision refers to many days yet to come. This is a purpose statement. It reveals something about the overall scope of the vision. It tells us that the vision concerns a time far distant to Daniel's day. It also concerns your people, that is Daniel's people. As we discover, this vision uncovers great truth about God's people and how they will be impacted by opposing forces for many days to come. That makes the vision so relevant for those of us who are part of the end time, the spiritual Israel of God. Perhaps this is a question your group might like to discuss. Are you the type of person who would prefer to know what will happen in the future? Or are you the type of person who would prefer to simply take it as it comes? Why do you think God is so interested in sharing the things that will happen in the future with his people? The second question we need to ask, what is the vision's starting point? This obviously is a key question and one that I believe can be reliably and reasonably answered You recall the passage in Daniel 11, 2-4. And now I tell you the truth, behold, 3 more kings will arise in Persia, and the 4th will be far richer than them all. He will stir up all against the realm of Greece. Then a mighty king will arise, and when he has arisen, the kingdom will be broken up and divided towards the 4 winds of heaven. The vision's starting point is well established. Historicist Bible commentators accept that Daniel is referring to the kings of Persia, with Xerxes, the 4th king, indeed being far richer than them all. Historicist commentary writers accept that the mighty king of Greece refers to Alexander the Great. The same writers accept that on Alexander's death, the kingdom was divided into 4. In short, Daniel's final vision commences in the time of the final kings of Persia and proceeds chronologically and with great detail into the centuries as they unfold. Thus the vision is similar in form to the visions of Daniel 2, 7 and 8. But who are the main protagonists, I hear you ask? Following the division of the Greek Empire and after Alexander's death, the vision continually speaks of the mysterious king of the north and his antithesis, the king of the south. Frequently the term the glorious land or the glorious kingdom is used. The prophecy speaks about a prince of the covenant. What is the angel getting at? It's actually quite simple. But first we need to understand a little geography. As you look at this prophecy, remember the term the glorious land or the glorious kingdom refers to the land of Israel. This was the place of Daniel's birth. This is his homeland. How many of you have referred to your homeland with this sort of pride? To Daniel, Israel was indeed God's own country. Whenever Israel was attacked, the adversary would always come from the north or the south. The Great Sea, we call it the Mediterranean, was to the west, and there was desert in the east. So attacking kings would always approach each other from the north or the south and would need to pass through Palestine. The powers who attacked God's people changed over centuries. But the geography stayed the same. Unfortunately, Israel, the glorious land, always seemed to be caught in the middle of warring kings that would approach Israel from the north or the south. Thus, in the days of Christ, Rome dominated Palestine and could be termed the king of the north, or the king that came from the north. In the New Testament era, Paul declares that spiritual Israel replaces physical Israel as God's people. We must therefore ask, who in the New Testament era has dominated God's people? We know from Daniel 7 and 8 that Rome certainly dominated God's people for most of the New Testament era. Significantly, Rome was a kingdom that came from the north of Palestine and certainly fits as the king of the north. Who then, in the New Testament era, could be called the king of the south? That's one of the issues we're going to attempt to address in our Bible study next week. Where does the vision conclude? This is another key question, and one that can be reliably answered by referring to Daniel 12, 1 and 2. The angel makes a clear declaration. At that time, your people shall be delivered, everyone found written in the book, and many of those who sleep in the dust of the earth will awake, some to everlasting life and some to shame and everlasting contempt. This vision concludes at the point where God's people are delivered. And those, like Daniel, who sleep in the dust are called to awake. This is obviously a time yet future, even of our day. This is the day of ultimate victory. With this background, we're able to establish the extent and the essential content of the vision. The vision commenced in Daniel's day with the kings of Persia, but it's yet to be concluded. The vision concerns attacks on God's people by kings that have their origin to the north and the south of the glorious land. As you discuss this week's Bible study, perhaps you could include these questions. How do you feel about God's people being constantly dominated by warring powers? Do you sense that God's people today are involved in a battle? Who do you see as the main protagonists in your personal life? How do you see it impacting the church? Well, my friends, that's it for another week. Thank you for joining with us. I'm Pastor Gary. If you've appreciated our Sabbath School Bible Study Ministry Development Trial, please let us know. If there are any suggestions you might have, please share them with us. We can be contacted at the email address on your screen. If you appreciate a downloadable copy of this script for use in your Bible study class, this can be downloaded from the website on your screen. May the Lord richly bless you as you teach from the book of Daniel this week. Really look forward to meeting with you next week. Thank you for joining with us.